Deficit barbell deadlift. Now, before we get into the exercise, two things to keep in mind. One, we want to make sure that the plates we're using are standard diameter. Oftentimes with some gyms, what will happen is if you're using, say, a 5 kilo weight plate, it'll be sort of half the diameter of a 20 kilo weight plate. So that's something you want to make sure that is consistent. Here, I have standard calibrated plates. And so even though this is a 5 kilo plate on each side, it's still the standard diameter. If your gym, however, has ones that scale according to weight, and you aren't up to the standard of lifting 20 kilos on each side, which is usually what is the standard full length diameter, what you can do is place a plate underneath or perform the exercise from a rack or something like that so that it is at the correct height. You'll know if it's at the correct height if when you stand next to it, the bar is at mid shin or just below mid shin, okay? So whatever you need to do, make sure that the bar is at mid shin or just below mid shin. Now, actual setup of the exercise. Here I'm using a 15 kilo bumper plate to make it as a deficit. Now, you might want to start with something smaller or you might want to start with something bigger. It depends on you. Generally, if you're a taller person, you're going to want to use a smaller deficit because it's already going to be harder for you to get into that deeper position because of the extra range of motion. However, if you're a shorter person, you could probably get away with a bigger deficit. So start with a small one first, see how it feels. If you can perform the exercise correctly, you can go up, otherwise just stay there. So 15 kilo plate in the center of the bar, standing onto my plate, and then the rest of the movement is exactly the same as what a normal deadlift would be. Coming down, grip is shoulder width or just outside shoulder width, hands over the bar, getting tight, creating tension, flattening out my spine, hips then come into the movement, bar is in contact with the body, breathe in, brace, push. Breathe in, brace, push. Breathe in, brace, push. Now, the big things to work on with this movement are, one, creating sufficient tension all throughout your body. You would have noticed as I set up, I really emphasize pulling the shoulder blades back and down as I bring my hips into the movement. This helps create tension all throughout my upper back, lower back, hips, and legs. That way everything gets loaded. I can feel the weight even before I've lifted it, and I'm tensed up. I'm ready to explode and lift that weight. The stress of the weight is on my muscles and not on my lower back. That's one way you'll know if you're doing it correctly. Some common faults to be aware of when performing this exercise is make sure that the bar is in contact with you. Don't let it drift away. Two, make sure you're conscious of your posture. We don't want to be over in this slouch position here. We want to have our shoulders back, our chest open, knees almost coming out a bit, and our spine nice and flat. Bang. That way, in this neutral spinal position here, I know that the rest of my body can effectively do its job. Whereas if I'm in this slouched over position, I'm not going to be able to sufficiently create tension on my other body parts.